Howdy there, Isaac here. This series started out as a pretty funny idea, but boy oh boy has it quickly spiraled into one of my favorite. I feel like that's something I say a lot. Anyways, we left off with Zarbon about to enter the hyperbolic time chamber with Pommel. But will these two finally be able to see eye to eye? Let's see what may have happened if Zarbon became a ZFighter. The story starts now. A month of intensive training had gone by within the chamber, but it was mostly the two getting used to their new environment while doing calisthenics. Pommel hadn't said much besides what they both needed to work on, such as Zarbon's transform state and the basics of ki control. True, they had prior experience, but it was usually just a slugfest, not wars of attrition using ki. Speaking of transform states, though, the commander realized his son had little drawbacks in it. When fully transformed, Pommel was much sleeker, and there was far less pressure emanating from him, and this gave Zarbon an idea. When in that state, the reptilian focused all his effort on containing his ki, keeping it from overflowing and just spewing out. This one little trick doctors didn't want you to know about really made a difference in Zarbon's stamina. However, it also made his transform state much more bearable. True, he had worked on containing the savagery it usually entailed, but now it was like said savagery wasn't even there, or had been greatly reduced. One bad thing about this stamina gain, though, was that when trying to contain his aura, Zarbon usually bulked up, something that made him slightly slower. Now, while the commander was figuring all this out, Pommel was usually just doing push-ups, sit-ups, or meditating, but he always kept an eye on his father, sometimes with great awe at how quickly he seemed to figure things out. This prompted the reptile to ask his son if this was the same technique he used. "It took you 10 years to figure this power out in my timeline, and just by watching me you figured it out in a couple months. Maybe training with you won't be such a waste." Pommel went to turn around, but Zarbon flew over, grabbing him by the collar. "Now I've given you plenty of time to get over this grudge you have with me, but I won't sit here and be disrespected like this, whether you're my son from another timeline or not." This little threat didn't scare Pommel, though. It actually made him smile a little. "That's it. Get angry and fight me. It'll be just like how we used to train, but this time I'm stronger." Pommel transformed, hitting Zarbon with a fierce assault, who transformed and began blocking these attacks in turn. The commander could feel his son's aura, the bloodlust within it, but also great pain and heartache. Pommel was gritting his teeth and using every trick in the book, a leg sweep here, a ki blast there. It all came at once and left Zarbon without any chance of retaliation. However, what he was really worried about was the malice in his ki. It was almost the same as Frieza's when he came to Earth. It wasn't pure evil like that tyrant's, but it had the same aura of revenge. Just what the hell did Zarbon do in the future? Once he came to his answer, Pommel landed a heavy punch across his lower jaw, sending a torrent of dizziness through Zarbon, him falling to his knees. Not good enough. You'll never beat Cell like this, so how about you just give up?" "I can't do that," Zarbon said, his jaw barely moving. "And why not? I can handle this damn bug. I still have 10 months to get stronger. Trunks and I will wipe the floor with him." "No, I'd be a bad parent if I left it all to you. Even if I can help just a little, I'll do my part." Zarbon shakily stood, eyeing Pommel down. The commander's son grit his teeth and launched a large ki blast off in the distance before cursing his father and storming off. Zarbon wasn't exactly happy about that, but he excused it for now. If he did this kind of thing to Pommel in the future, it made sense why this was such a touchy subject for the boy. Well, for now, all they could do was train separately until he was ready. Another month went by, all with Zarbon training within his transformed state, trying to achieve what his son and future counterpart had. He could now easily contain his ki, but he still suffered from the difference in speed. However, towards the end of the month, Zarbon noticed he had gone slightly faster, and that's when an idea popped into his head. The more time he spent in that form, the more he'd get attuned to it, the faster he'd become. Another month passed, and Zarbon was now just as fast in his base form, if not even faster due to the increased power he now had. The commander was basically always in his transform state now, and while he didn't notice it at first, his transformation was now sleeker and far less ugly than usual. So that was it, huh? Simply getting acclimated to the form allowed his body to have a less volatile reaction to it. With this new power, Zarbon might even be on par with his son. Speaking of Pommel, this is the point where he confronted Zarbon once again and demanded a fight. The commander agreed to it, but this time he wasn't going to go easy. The two got into an intense battle, one which went on for hours, the two trading blows back and forth. However, something soon became apparent. While Zarbon wasn't holding back, he wasn't putting any damage on Pommel either. Sure, he tripped the boy up, make him move into his own blast or something else of that nature, but he never landed a punch or kick proper. Meanwhile, the commander had taken some pretty bad damage himself, with the left side of his face being pretty swollen, not to mention the several other bruises or burns on his body. As this dawned on Pommel, he began cursing and throwing punches wildly, something Zarbon easily dodged and countered. Why won't you hit me? Pommel attempted to launch a large ki blast point blank, but Zarbon grabbed his hand and pointed it away. Because I want to prove something to you, that I'm not like him. Pommel then swung his other fist, but Zarbon caught that too. Yes, you are. You might be missing the scars, and maybe Mom's still here, but you're definitely him. You have to be. Pommel opened his mouth to launch a beam, but Zarbon, having had enough, headbutt his son. The two fell back, both their foreheads bleeding, and both exhausted. They laid there for a while, catching their breath, before Pommel stood and began to walk away. We'll start properly training tomorrow. We'll see exactly how different you are. The commander sat up, agreeing to train tomorrow, and with that, the two began to spar and train every day from then on. Zarbon noticed that his son's aura often flared up whenever he began getting stalemated, and Pommel would soon lose control and begin bulking up and letting ki leak from his form. Meanwhile, the reptile himself also occasionally lost focus, but also noticed that while his stamina was insane, he shouldn't just let it go to waste. Keeping all that power contained while also fighting and keeping his form in check, it was a lot to handle, so why not focus some of that pent-up energy into an attack? This would be a two birds with one stone situation. Zarbon remembered the punch his son had given him earlier, the one which stunned him for a split second, and figured he may be able to achieve the same effect using ki. Whenever Pommel began to rage out, Zarbon would channel a large amount of ki into his fist and drive it into the stomach of his son, sending a large shockwave into him and stunning the boy for a second. It didn't really do any damage, but it worked for all intents and purposes, but was a bit exhaustive if used more than once. This move, coupled with the fact that Zarbon showed time and time again that he didn't want to hurt Pommel, made the boys soon begin to trust in Zarbon. Slowly, their relationship began to get a little more cordial, the two starting to actually talk outside of training. They never became chummy, but even so, Zarbon was happy he could get his son to open up, if only a little. Eventually, the year began coming to an end, but Pommel didn't seem too excited about this. His form began getting sloppy, his fighting spirit was somewhat dampened, and he was just overall seemingly off balance. When asked, he simply said he was feeling under the weather, but Zarbon knew better than to believe that. As their final week in the chamber came, Zarbon finally confronted his son about it while the two were locked in combat. His son attempted to back away, but Zarbon continued pressuring him, both in combat and outside of it. You're scared, or at least unsure of something, aren't you? What is it? Whatever it is, I'm sure you're more than strong enough to handle it. Zarbon threw a kick which Pommel blocked before grabbing his leg and swinging his father around. It's nothing. I just want to keep training here, make sure I'm ready. But you are ready. In just a year, you've made so much progress. Zarbon stopped the fighting and put a hand on his son's shoulder, but Pommel somewhat shrugged him off. I'm not. I don't want to go out there. And here I'm in control. In here it's just us. But when I go outside, we have to fight Cell. And then I have to go back to the future and fight Cell again. Then I have to see. Pommel trailed off, but Zarbon knew what he meant. You're as ready as you'll ever be, Pommel. I'm proud of you, and if he can't see the man you've become, it's his loss. This made Pommel hug Zarbon, something the reptile had no response to. The two then awkwardly separated, both not knowing exactly what to say. Once a moment of awkward tension passed, they agreed to begin training once more. When the week was over, they decided to cut their hair and shower, just so they didn't look like savages once they exited the chamber. The two bonded while Zarbon taught his son the importance of appearing elegant, if not at least presentable. While Pommel didn't exactly want to look pretty, he did like looking more refined. However, this did prompt him to mention that Zarbon in the future abandoned this sense of looking pretty, especially after gaining all those scars. This made our Zarbon wonder exactly what happened to his future counterpart. He explained what Trunks had told him before coming in here, but Pommel said that was only what Bulma told them. Behind closed doors, Pommel was able to learn, and somewhat experience, far more. Trunks and Pommel had always wanted to help fight against Cell, especially as they watched Gohan grow up and begin fighting as well, but future Zarbon forbade them from doing so. Gohan, being far kinder and understanding their plight, began teaching them the basics of ki control. However, once Zarbon found out about this, he kept Gohan far away from them, and challenged both Trunks and him to a fight. The rules were simple. If they could beat future Zarbon, they'd be allowed to join the resistance. Pommel didn't go into much detail about this next part, but from what Zarbon could glean, a very intense fight took place. One where both he and Trunks were left in bad conditions and told they'd never be able to fight Cell. Now that fight they had earlier made sense. It must have been what happened to him. Pommel's way of getting revenge and proving himself. Zarbon put a hand on Pommel's back and told the boy that he had far surpassed his future counterpart. This helped ease the boy's anxiety, but he still felt unprepared for the future. However, for as unprepared as he felt, time passes all the same, and their time in the chamber was up. The duo exited the chamber to find their friends and family the same as before, while Zarbon and Pommel had changed quite significantly. However, for as much as everyone needed to catch up, the most important news was what Cell had been up to. While they were gone, the Bugman had seemingly resurrected several androids from within Jiro's sublab. Around the droid were 4 other red ribbon androids, this being 13, 14, 15, and 16. But that wasn't all Cell had been up to in the last 24 hours. He also took the time to spawn Cell Juniors, just enough to bolster his roster so that it was even with the ZFighters. This was a frightening revelation, especially since nobody knew the power of these new enemies. Sure, some of them could go back into the chamber for another year, but that would take a toll on anyone. However, as dire as the situation seemed, Goku was in high spirits and eagerly went into the chamber with Gohan like it was nothing. When Goku and Gohan exited, Zarbon noticed they seemed a lot more tranquil, as if they had mastered the rage and anger Super Saiyan tended to exacerbate. In a way, it was similar to what Zarbon did with his own transformation. This Goku fellow, he really was something special. Now, this development still makes Vegeta angry, but he chooses to wait while the other Z-Fighters do their thing. Everyone gets some serious gains during their year of training, including Piccolo since this time he actually has a training partner. Once Vegeta tries to go back into the chamber, Trunks chooses to stay outside, since he thinks he's gotten strong enough. While this would usually aggravate Vegeta, someone else steps up to take Trunks' place, that being Apul. After days of watching Cell training with his Cell Juniors, the Iceling decided it was time to make this body his own. Vegeta is interested to see what Apul can do, and so allows him to go into the chamber. Once the two emerge, well, it's certainly interesting. While the prince hasn't exactly gotten grade 4, he's trained so hard that he has the power of it in base Super Saiyan. Meanwhile, Apul exits the chamber in Cooler's third form, although it's slightly modified to more resemble his original body. While the form is certainly shocking, to say the least, Zarbon is happy since Apul seems far happier than before. Now, with there only being a couple of days until the tournament, the ZFighters all go their separate ways. Zarbon himself chooses to spend some time with Sunday, since there is a chance they fell against Cell. He also takes some time to hang out with Pommel, although they don't find much common ground in doing leisurely activities, so they settle for an interesting sparring match. Once their time is up, everyone meets at the Cell Games arena, where the perfect Bugman himself announces the rules. Alright everyone, this tournament will consist of one-on-one matches only. Whoever wins the tournament will get the honor of challenging yours truly. But if anyone tries attacking me before then, well, I'm sure you need no explanation. Oh, and the matches are to the death. Have fun. And with the Cell Games getting off to a very different beginning, that is where we'll be leaving things off for right now. If you guys enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate it if you trained for the... Oh, God. If you guys enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate it if you trained for a year with the like button, or maybe even mastered the subscribe button's transformation. But even if you don't, I appreciate you guys for getting to the end of this video. I'm recording this in advance, well, not anymore. When I wrote this, I intended to, but that didn't happen. I can actually update you guys on the sub count. I think we're at 445. I'm recording this literally a couple hours before it comes out. Sorry. I know usually I'm super ready for this, and usually I'd edit this out, but I kind of didn't want it to. Or I didn't want to edit it out just because, well, a lot's happened. I intended to record this yesterday, but I get my work schedule every Sunday, and on Sunday I figured out I was working a double yesterday, so that was great. I think Sunday morning I dropped a bunch of water all over my laptop, and now it doesn't work anymore. So I can't exactly write scripts, but luckily I had this script out, and while I could have made this a Saturday video, I felt like it would be a good Tuesday video, and I wanted to let everyone know that, hey, maybe this Saturday we won't be getting a video. I'm going to try. I'm definitely going to do my hardest, or I'm definitely going to try my hardest to get a video out on Saturday, but it just may not happen due to unforeseen circumstances. But yeah, I will say part of this script still does make sense, especially the part where I tell everyone, hey, it's really awesome seeing all the comments. It's really awesome seeing all the views, and especially the subs. I mean, we kind of plateaued a little bit at 430 subs, and then it's 445 in like a couple days, which is pretty crazy. That's pretty awesome. Unfortunately, we definitely didn't do as well on my latest video, the Gotenks video, or what if fusion was permanent. Maybe it's because it has Gotenks on it. I'm not sure. I know everyone wanted to see Vegito, but I thought Gotenks made a really good character for that. So, oh well, it is what it is. I'll continue that, just like I'll continue Zarbon, just like I'll continue the Zarbon story, because I really like this story, especially the body dysmorphia that Apul is having. And it's sad that Apul didn't get more screen time here, but he will definitely get some screen time up next, if not after the Cell Games for sure, because, well, I actually don't know what will happen after Cell Games. Maybe everyone leaves Earth. Maybe some people die or something. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I kind of just write by the seam of my pants, so I never know what's going to happen until it's written down. And even sometimes then, I change it, because while I don't have an editor like Toriyama, sometimes I'm just like, that's kind of lame. Let's change that up. Anyways, I have definitely rambled for long enough now. But But thank you guys. Thank you guys for, I mean, everything. And yeah, sometimes things don't perform as well as I would like them to. But even so, just seeing, 20 people watch a video makes me know that, hey, at least people are watching them. And even though this video won't do that great, I still thank each and every one of you who have listened to this long rant on this video and who will continue to listen to long rants, I hope, in the future. Yeah. You guys have a good day or night wherever you are. That's it for now. Bye-bye.